You know, we all have these cozy images of Christmas, right? The tree, the gifts, the carols. But what if I told you that for decades, in one of the most powerful empires on Earth, Christmas wasn't just different, it was the target of an all-out war?
I mean, really think about that. What if Santa Claus, the guy himself, was officially branded a public enemy? It sounds like something out of a wild movie, but for millions of people, this was their actual reality. And that's really the heart of what we're getting into today. This wasn't some gentle cultural shift, you know? This was a top-down, state-sponsored campaign to literally wipe a major holiday right off the calendar.
So how on earth did this even happen? Well, to get it, we've got to go all the way back to the 1917 Bolshevik Revolution. This is when the new communist government decided to launch a full-scale ideological war on religion itself. And this quote right here, this is the key to understanding why. The Soviets saw religion as a drug, basically, a tool that the old oppressive Tsarist regime used to control everyone. So to build their brand new world, they felt they had to bulldoze the old one, and that included its most beloved holiday.
This timeline really lays it all out for us. It's a total holiday roller coaster. You see a complete ban, then this really strange revival under a completely different name, and then, finally, a return to the old ways. It's just wild.
And when I say all-out ban, I mean it. This was no half measure. Christmas trees were called a foreign bourgeois custom. They even created this group called the League of Militant Atheists, whose job was basically to hunt down and prosecute believers. Christmas Day? Yeah, that just became another mandatory workday. The goal was total, absolute erasure.
Okay, but this is where the story gets really, really interesting. The government figured out pretty fast that you can't just snatch away a huge winter celebration and leave nothing in its place. People needed something to look forward to during those long, dark winter months. So, in a move that I think nobody really saw coming, Joseph Stalin himself brings back the holiday tree. But of course, there was a huge catch. It was purely secular. This was not a Christmas tree, it was a New Year tree, a yolka. It was all about boosting public morale and celebrating the state, not religion. So what they did was basically this massive copy and paste job, a holiday heist. They stripped out all the religious meaning, shifted the date from Orthodox Christmas on January 7th to New Year's Eve, and they even swapped out the main character. Every single tradition we associate with Christmas was just lifted and rebranded for New Year.
And that brings us to the guy who took Santa's job, a figure with a truly bizarre history named Ded Moroz, or Grandfather Frost. Honestly, his journey from an ancient myth to a state symbol is one of the wildest parts of this whole story. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Get this, he starts out in old folklore as this evil wizard who literally freezes people to death. Then, when the Soviets first banned Christmas, he gets declared an ally of the priest and outlawed too. But then, the state brings him back as this secular hero for New Year's, a friendly guy who brings gifts and sometimes even gave kids a little pep talk about being a good communist. And unlike Santa and his elves, Ded Moroz had a sidekick you won't find anywhere else. His granddaughter, Snegorochka, the Snow Maiden. She became a huge part of this new, state-approved holiday story.
But of course, not everyone just went along with this new reality. Behind all the big official celebrations, millions of people held on to their real traditions, often putting themselves in incredible danger to do it.
This quote, man, it comes from one of the most chilling examples of the state crackdown. In 1972, the KGB arrested a group of Ukrainian intellectuals. And what was their crime? Singing Christmas carols. For them, it wasn't just about religion, it was about holding on to their national culture.
And we're not talking about some vague threat here. We're talking about 19 people, poets, artists, writers, arrested on a single day. A number like that just makes the persecution feel so real and personal. Imagine that. Singing a song could get you thrown in prison.
But people are clever, right? They found ways to resist. They'd go out to remote mountain villages to sing carols where no one could hear them. Some people even got really creative and changed the lyrics of carols to praise Lenin instead of Jesus, just to throw the authorities off. Meanwhile, you had officials setting up so-called parent patrols to stop carolers. It was a real cat-and-mouse game.
So, what happened when the Soviet Union finally collapsed in 1991? Well, Christmas came back, sure, but the story doesn't just end there. The whole Soviet experiment left this deep, permanent mark on how millions of people celebrate the winter season, even today. And this chart really tells the whole story.
Decades later, New Year's Eve is still the main event. It's the big public holiday with the parties, the feasts, the presents. Christmas on January 7th, it's back, but it's often a much quieter, more private religious day. The Soviet holiday swap was so effective that it actually stuck.
Okay, and for one final, kind of mind-blowing fact, a lot of us in the West have probably heard the Christmas story of Babushka, the Russian grandmother who met the wise men. Well, here's the thing. That story is almost totally unknown in Russia. Why? Because it was invented by an American writer back in 1907. It just shows how much of this story has been shaped by the outside world.
So when you think about it, the Soviet state threw everything it had at Christmas. Bans, propaganda, arrests, the whole shebang. And yet, the holiday didn't really die. It just put on a new costume. It adapted, which leaves us with a pretty big question. Can you ever truly erase a tradition, or will it always find a new way to survive?